Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 68 to 72 of chapter 2. Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
nigrihitani sarvashah,
nigrihitani sarvashah,
indriyanindriyarthebhyah,
indriyanindriyarthebhyah,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
tasyam jagati sanyami,
tasyam jagarti sanyami,
yasyam jagrati bhutani,
yasyam jagrati bhutani,
sa nisha pashyato muneः,
sa nisha pashyato muneः,
आपूर्यमाणमचल pratishtham,
आपूर्यमाणमचल प्रतिष्ठम्,
samudramapah pravishanti yadvat,
समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्,
tadvat कामायं pravishanti sarve,
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे,
sa shantimapnoti na kamakami,
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी,
vihaya kamanyas sarvan,
विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान्,
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः,
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः,
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः,
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः,
स शान्तिमधिगच्छति,
स शान्तिमधिगच्छति,
Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha
Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati
Stitva Syamanta Kalepi
Stitva Syamantakaalepi
Brahma Nirvana Mrichati.
Brahma Nirvana Mrichati.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the last session, I gave you some subtler aspects of Nirahankaraha and Nirmamaha, the different types of ego, the Asuric ego, the Rakshasic ego, and the Daivik ego. I had also given you a small homework. Using this wisdom, just find out how much of the Asuric element you have, how much of the Rakshasic element you have, how much of the Daivik element you have. Now, if you had done that homework very sincerely, you would have found that there would have been a lot of resistance to this whole exercise. Now, many sadhaks have actually raised that point. They've asked, I tried my best to do this homework, but I was unable to do so fully because something in me was resisting that exercise. I'll tell you the reason. Actually, it's a positive thing. If you had found a lot of resistance, it's a positive thing only. It means you have sincerely tried that. See, when you try to dissolve your ego, the ego is not going to like it. So obviously it will resist. So how do you solve this problem? How do you get to do that self-analysis, swadhyaya? How do you analyze yourself? How do you understand yourself? The very process of trying to understand is resisted by the ego and the subsequent thoughts and emotions which arise out of the ego. So that is why I did mention last week that take it as a game and do it. See, if you do it in a very serious way, okay, now let me analyze the three aspects within me so that I will conquer my ego. Now, the moment you do it in a very, very serious way like that, the ego will get alert. You know, it is like catching a fish in the pond. If you would have observed, how do they catch a fish? They don't try to use force. See, the moment you try to use force, the fish will run away because it is not so simple to catch the fish. It is very slippery. So they use the indirect method. What is the indirect method? They have a hook and then they place a bait, something which the fish likes, and then they wait patiently. The fish by itself comes and gets caught. Now the same principle only has to be employed to take control over your own ego, to master your own mind. If you use force, it will not work. It will slip. When we go and when a person tries to catch the fish with his or her hand, the fish will try to escape, and it's so slippery. You will be unsuccessful. So when you try to conquer your ego directly, it will not work. So when that homework was given, now using this aspect of the wisdom, the 3 types of ego, now analyze yourself, get a better understanding of yourself. You should do it as if it is a game, like a fun exercise, just for the sake of understanding. Like how you would read a book very casually, in a relaxed way. Supposing you want to read a book in your spare time, or you want to watch a movie. Now you're not going to be too serious about it. Actually, in a very relaxed way, just for time pass, you would just switch on the movie and you would watch it. When you have that attitude, you will incidentally enjoy the movie. You will enjoy the book also. Now, when you apply these principles in your life, if you can bring the same attitude. When I say don't be too serious about it, I'm not saying you should be irresponsible. See, these things can always be misunderstood. Not a casual approach in the sense of being irresponsible. There is the element of focus. Of course, you should do it in a focused way, in a responsible way. But don't get overworked. Don't put too much of pressure on yourself. Somehow I have to now gain this wisdom and remove my ego. The moment you put that extra pressure on yourself, your sadhana will not give good results. Actually, you will find your entire mind, your entire personality backed by the ego will resist your efforts. Because the very nature of ego is that it does not want to change. That's why when the ego becomes very pronounced, the asuric ego, when the tamas is very strong, such a person will not want to change. So you should understand these things in depth. That is, you should understand the subtler points, and slowly you should apply these principles in a very tactful way. So if you can visualize your own ego like a fish which is so slippery, you can't catch it directly. If it can be caught directly, then there is no necessity for all this wisdom. There is no necessity for the various sadhanas, the various spiritual practices. You just hold it by the hand and you take charge. But it's not so simple like that. So do it in a relaxed way, not with an idea of conquering your ego overnight, but make it interesting. See, this whole idea of giving you the asura, that is the asura and the asuric nature and the rakshasic nature, which is the demonic nature, and the daivika nature, which is the godly nature. How the ego can be divided into these three aspects. All this was given. What was the idea? The whole idea was to make it interesting for you. See, when something is interesting, you will automatically start doing it. When something is not interesting, you will not be tempted to do that. Even when a child has to study, the reason why a child does not study a particular subject, is because he or she does not find it interesting. A good teacher will make it very interesting for the student and tempt the student to gain that knowledge and apply it. So this analysis of the asuric, rakshasic and daivika tendencies is to make it very interesting for the mind. The mind likes, generally the mind likes gossip. You would have observed that whenever you open the newspaper or when you switch on the news channel, now you're very interested in knowing what happened in this place, what happened in that place, what happened to this person, what happened to that person. Even in your neighborhood, the people who are living next to you, if someone comes and tells you, what happened, there was a fight between the husband and wife, immediately your mind gets tempted. What happened? Tell me. Why is that? Have you ever thought about it? Because the tendency of the mind, the weakness of the mind, actually from a spiritual point of view we say it is a weakness, but if you just factually analyze, the tendency of the mind is that it enjoys gossip a lot. Since the mind enjoys gossip, these great masters, they wrote the Puranas, they gave out the Puranic stories to make it interesting for the mind to absorb. When the wisdom is given directly, the mind does not grasp it. It finds it boring. Now when you put it in the form of a story, when you give examples, when you give the logic in a very structured and attractive way. Now there are different ways of making it interesting. Now when it is given to the mind like that, immediately the mind gets tempted to follow it. So these great masters, they are actually using the same weakness of the mind to gossip, to actually gain this wisdom. Now if it is an indirect method, no doubt, but it is the most effective method. When something is told directly, it doesn't work. See, if you call a person and directly you tell that person, this is what all these things which you're doing is wrong. Now come on, now change it. Now immediately that person will resist. Whereas if you approach it indirectly if it is made more suggestive, the chances are that the other person will pick those points and start practicing them. This is the very nature of the mind. So when these different aspects of ego were given, it is something like gossip only. Even though it is not exactly, the word gossip will not exactly fit in here, because the word gossip itself is generally used in a negative sense. But we can use the word it is made more interesting for the mind. It is to tempt the mind, just as a person who wants to catch the fish tries to tempt the fish. So when you do your sadhana, you should use the same principle of tempting the mind to do whatever you want it to do. If you use force, the mind will resist. It will try to run away. A master never uses force. Actually, in the third chapter, which we are going to start soon, he gives this point directly. He says, a wise person should never unsettle the minds of the ignorant. Rather, the wise person should act in such a way and inspire others by making all his actions attractive, he says. It is an indirect method, but that alone will work. That alone will give a permanent result. So when I am asking you to do swadhyaya, that is study of yourself, don't do it in a forceful way, in a very serious way. Again, here when I say lack of seriousness, I don't mean lack of responsibility. What I mean is take it in a fun way, make it interesting and take it like a game. This is a game of life. See, from a spiritual point of view, every yogi considers life itself as a game. When you play a game, that relaxes you. Why? Because the intensity is there, but you're not too serious about it. Lack of seriousness does not mean lack of intensity. Please understand this point very carefully. I am not talking of a very irresponsible, careless attitude. See, having a careless attitude is again tamas, laziness. That is not what is being meant here. Actually, you can take up this principle which is being expounded right now and apply it in every area of life. Just find out. See, wherever you are over reactive, if you go to the root of it, you will find that you're giving too much of value. Like a person, it could be the opinion of another person. When you give too much of value, when you become too serious about it, that is when you get affected maximum. So you should learn to become more light-hearted. Especially when you do sadhana, light-heartedness is so important. Do everything meticulously, whatever is being told to you. But do it as a game. Exactly how you play a sport or a game. Then, see, when you play a particular game as for entertainment, what will happen is sometimes you may lose, sometimes you may win. The ups and downs will be there, but you will not get totally affected by these ups and downs. Even the loss will be so enjoyable. You will learn something from it. And you will say, okay, I lost this time, but I will win next time. The inspiration is maintained. When you win, it gives you a lot of excitement and to go forward. When you lose also, it gives you more force, more vigor to continue, because you're not taking it so seriously. You're not giving that extra value to it. So, even when it comes to your own impurities, yes, the whole sadhana is aimed at purification only. But when you give that extra importance to the impurities, to the ego, then you will find it very difficult. The ego will start resisting, the mind will start resisting. So that is why few sadhaks have, few of you have asked, even others who have not asked, many of you would have faced this problem where you say, I want to do yoga sankirtan sadhana every day. Now the mind starts resisting. I want to now wake up early in the morning. Again the mind will start resisting. The moment the mind starts resisting, now you should stop applying force. Instead, use some other tactful method. See what will tempt the mind. If you want to build a particular habit, now tempt the mind with something which it will enjoy. If you develop that habit, then automatically the mind will start getting interested. So the three types of ego, the tamasic, the rajasic and sattvic, needs to be understood in depth. Where as we go along, he will be covering every aspect of life with respect to the three gunas, these three qualities. You will find it very, very interesting. But if you become sensitive about it, if you get affected by it, it means you've lost that lightheartedness. So my request to all the sadhaks is that take up the sadhana, whether it's yoga sankirtan or the small tips which I am giving in these lectures, even the meditation session, everything. Take it up in a very responsible way. Do it in with a lot of focus and intensity, but drop the seriousness. Okay, I have this particular negativity, fine. Now don't give it that extra value. See what has to be applied in order to come out of that particular negative trait. Exactly how a sports person plays his or her sport. Unfortunately today, even sports has become a very, very serious affair. Earlier, sports was considered as a relaxation, but today that is also adding to the pressure of the person who's playing the sport. Actually, the vision of these great masters, these great yogis and siddhas, is that your entire life, every aspect of life should become fun for you, should become like a game for you. That's why I'm saying this principle can be applied in every aspect of your life. Your work should become pleasure. The duties, your obligatory duties should start giving you a lot of happiness. Every aspect of life should become fun for you. And when you have that kind of an attitude, incidentally, you will learn maximum. You will start growing in life. So you see, how does a child learn so much? Because a child has this lightheartedness. Even all of us had that when we were children. But somehow, as we grow up, we become too serious in life. So with a very serious face, with a very serious attitude, we start doing the sadhana also. Even the very Sunday session, now every Sunday I am going to use the yogic approach and you become too serious about it. You lose the fun element. Many parents, they try to force spirituality on their children, and then they complain that the children are not taking it up. Rather, if they just provide the opportunity to the children in a fun way, the children will automatically pick it up. Like I've seen parents taking their kids to a temple, for example, and they put so many rules to the children. You stand there and do like this, keep your eyes closed, and the child will just open the eye and try to see. Don't open, come on, do this. Stand straight, keep your spinal cord erect, and do this. So many rules the parents put. Now it's not an enjoyable experience for the child. If you're taking your child to the temple, allow the child to just roam around and play and all that. Don't put too many rules. See, children have such a pure heart, They are one with divinity. These rules are only meant for you to get purified. So when the children play about and it's fun for the child, it'll automatically, he or she will pick up the divine vibrations. This is so important. So if you can bring that spirit into your sadhana will become very, very fruitful. So when you do the self-analysis, now if you take it up too seriously, your mind, ego, everything, your personality will resist it. You will not enjoy it. And if you forcefully try to analyze yourself thus, you will lose all your confidence. Because no one is free of ego. See, till one becomes a sthita prajna, the ego is going to be there because the conditioning is always there. It's only a question of gradation. So you will lose all your confidence. The idea of this wisdom is to learn to purify yourself, is not to become very heavy with this knowledge, with this wisdom. If the moment you find any aspect of this wisdom as a drudgery, when you find it like a drudgery, it means you are being too sensitive. You are laying too much of emphasis on your negativities. Actually, every aspect of this wisdom is so enjoyable. Every sadhana which is given by these great masters is so enjoyable. Just now we had the Yoga Sankirtan intensive empowerment program. Now, all of you who, when you attended that, you would have found it so enjoyable. You would have looked forward to the next session. Actually, many mails have been sent to me. They were saying, sir, 6 days we found 6 days very less. Even 22 days, everyone was saying, it looks as if we just started and suddenly now the 22nd day has come. Why is that? Because it's so enjoyable. So when you do your personal sadhana also, you should try to bring the same attitude. So if you see these three aspects, the tamasic, rajasic and sattvic, the asuric, rakshasic and daivika, they are nothing but the different grades of ego. Ego is one only, but the variation comes, the difference comes in terms of the gradation. Actually, all differences in life is due to gradation only. What is the difference between light and darkness? They look as if they are opposites, but actually darkness is nothing but lack of light. Light is nothing but lack of darkness. See, supposing it is pitch dark, now you bring in a little bit of light. Now will you say that room is lighted or will you say that room is dark? It is only a gradation. Little bit the darkness has been reduced. We can either say the darkness has been reduced a little bit or we can say the light has been increased a little bit. Now if you increase it a little more, now the darkness will start going away and the light will be there. Now if you reduce the light, again it will become dark. If you reduce the darkness, it will become light. So light and darkness are nothing but different grades of one and the same thing. If you take heat and cold, they look like opposites. But the same heat, when you start reducing the temperature, it turns into cold temperature. So the difference between heat and cold is one of gradation. They are actually not two different things. They look as if they are two different things. So when we talk of the Daivika Ahankar, the Rakshasika Ahankar, the Asurika Ahankar, now it looks as if they are all different, but they are actually not different. It is one ego. When it is very pronounced, we call it Asurik. When it is in the mediocre stage, we call it Rakshasic. When it is become more subtle, the quantity is also reduced considerably, we call it Sattvic. This is a very important principle, the principle of gradation, because that is a very principle which he is using to say that you can also become a Sthita Prajna. When you look at all your impurities, you will wonder, is it really possible to get to an egoless state? Is Sthita Prajna, is it practical? It is practical, because Sthita Prajna is like the state of light, and the ignorance is like a state of darkness. Can darkness become light? Yes. It is only a question of going on increasing the light. If you can be in darkness, it means you have the capacity to be in light also. If you are in a state of ego, it means you can get into a state of Sthita Prajna, Nirahankaraha. This is the reason why in one of the later chapters he says, it does not matter where you are. It does not matter what sin you have committed, so-called sin, whatever you consider as a sin. All these things do not matter. If you take a firm resolve today and you decide to move up in the spiritual ladder, then he says, I will help you. So the more negative you are, you should understand that there is that itself shows that you have a potential to become positive. When something is very cold, it can always be heated. When something is very hot, it can always become cold. That is why, as a human being, what these masters are saying is that you have the capacity, you have the choice actually, to either devolve and become Asuric, or to go on evolving, become godly, and then transcend and become the infinite also. So if you have done your self-analysis and you find that lot of these Asuric and Rakshasic tendencies are there is nothing to worry. It means you have the potential to become a Sthita Prajna. Instead of losing your confidence over it, that should actually give you a lot of confidence. When we say something is negative, you should understand the difference between negative and positive is not one of kind. It is only a difference in gradation, difference in degree. When the temperature is 100 degrees, we say it is boiling. When it is minus 100, we say it is ice, cold. The whole thing is a difference in degree only. So when you do your sadhana, the sadhana does not try to forcefully change you. Any sadhana is not aimed at forcefully trying to make you something what you are not. No. The sadhana only goes on refining your personality, refining your ego. As you become more and more refined, automatically your asuric tendencies will go away, the rakshasic tendencies will go away, and the godly tendencies will get promoted. And when you continue doing your sadhana, you will transcend that state also, and you will get into the state where you are beyond all badness, beyond all goodness. So as a human being, you have this capacity to devolve or evolve. So nirahankaraha is a path of evolution. Nirahankaraha, nirmamaha. All these actually are nothing but the different ways by which you can refine yourself. You can become better and better every day. This entire spiritual path should be used to become better and better. I mean, when I say spiritual path, I mean this wisdom should be used to become better and better on a daily basis. Now, last week I had given you many tips about how to find out what is the asuric ego, what is rakshasic ego, and what is daivik ego. Now, we will see that with respect to your desires. If you see, in the very first portion of this verse, he says, Vihaya Kaman, having abandoned all desires. Now, I have not yet explained that to you in detail, because that is related to this nirahankaraha and nirmamaha. It is related to these three types of ego. So I was waiting for this portion to be covered. Then you will be able to understand what he means by Vihaya Kaman in depth. Now, when we talk of Kamaha, the desire, I have explained to you the difference between Kamaha and Ichcha. So, Ichcha means willful desire, whereas Kamaha means that desire where you don't have any control over it. Uncontrolled desire, which comes on its own. And then, of course, the third aspect also was seen when the Kamaha goes totally out of control. The force increases, it becomes Trishna or Spriha. That's why he started off by saying, at least learn to control the force of your Kamaha. All this we have seen. Now, when he says Vihaya Kaman, abandon all the desires, now we will see it with respect to the three types of ego. How the kamaha functions. So three things are there. One is ichcha. Ichcha means willfully having a desire, willfully fixing a goal consciously in order to fulfill your duties in life. That is ichcha. Kamaha is when you just get a desire on its own in order to become happy. That is, you feel I am not happy today, so I want this in order to become happy. That is kamaha. In ichcha, you are already in a very happy state and you want to spread that happiness around. You do your duties, everything. That's what I said. You take every aspect of life as fun, The whole life becomes fun and frolic. So the desire, the goals are all functional. Whatever is required for you to fulfill your duties. That is ichcha. Now when it comes to sprihaha or the trishna, when the force is too much, that is nothing but the same kamaha which has gained so much of force that it goes out of control. The desire actually possesses you. You are unable to control your mind thereafter. You will do anything in order to fulfill that desire. So if you take these three types of ego, the asuric, the rakshasic and daivika. Now, the asuric ego will produce sprihaha. When the kamaha or the desire goes totally out of your control, then that is what we call as the asuric nature. So asuric ahankar will produce sprihaha, where the trishna, the force, will be very high. So when you have such an uncontrollable desire, what will it lead to? That is what is very interesting. It will lead to a tendency of wanting others' wealth, of wanting to rob others of their wealth. Asuric ego will give rise to sprihaha, uncontrolled desire, and that will give rise to the tendency where you are not happy seeing others happy. You want to destroy their happiness. If somebody has something, you want to snatch it away. You want to have everything only for yourself. That is the height of ego. Ahamkaraha. When it becomes too much, your whole life is centered around you. You genuinely start thinking that nobody else should have anything. You want everything for yourself. So when a person is having too much of these asuric tendencies, asuric ego, then he or she will put in a lot of effort to take away, to steal another person's wealth. Wealth here doesn't mean only money. Wealth is of different types. One kind of wealth is money. So it could be money, it could be name and fame, it could be efforts, wealth in any form. So you try to steal away another person's efforts. Another person puts in all the efforts and now you take the credit and you go away. Another person puts a lot of effort to build to build a name for himself. Now you criticize that person, put the other person down, and you try to become famous because of that. Actually, someone showed me an article where this writer has analyzed. Today, the very trend has become like that. People are trying to become famous by attacking other people who have put in a lot of effort in order to achieve a particular name or fame. Instead of you putting the effort with respect to your skills, you try to put the other person down. You criticize the other people and try to become famous instantly. That is the Asuric nature, robbing another person's wealth. It could be gross wealth, money. Instead of you putting an effort to earn, you try to snatch another person's wealth. So when he says vihaya kaman, he means you should, that is, abandon all desires. He means you should abandon the Rakshasic and Asuric way. First I have explained to you the Asuric, then we will come to the Rakshasic way also. Those two things you need to abandon. So with last week's homework of trying to understand yourself, how much of Asuric tendencies I have, how much of Rakshasic tendencies I have. Now you will be in a better position to apply this subtle principle. You will get a better understanding of yourself. Again, do it as a game. Don't become too serious about it. Do you have that tendency to rob others of their wealth in any form? Whether it is material wealth, money, or whether it is property, or whether it is name and fame, whether it is somebody else's talent, let it be anything. Are you having that tendency to feel very jealous when another person has something? Usually you will have it in one or two areas where you have a strong desire. Now understand that that is Asuric. We need to convert it. We need to work on that and make it Sattvic. I'll explain to you the whole thing, what with respect to Kaman, that is with respect to desires, what is Tamasic, Rajasic and Sattvic, then it will become very easy for you. When you have a Rakshasic ego, how does that function? It generates Kamaha. See, when the same Kamaha goes out of control, we call it Sprihaha, that becomes Asuric. Now I told you Rakshasa is in the middle, the Rakshasic tendencies. So when you have a pronounced Rakshasic ego, now that will give rise to a lot of uncontrolled desires. Kamaha. So what is the difference between Kamaha and Sprihaha? They are one and the same, but Sprihaha is much greater in intensity. So the Rajasic ego will produce a lot of Kamaha, and when you are riddled with too many uncontrolled desires, now a Rajasic person will become more stressed. That will lead to a lot of stress, because the very Kamaha is coming from the position of unhappiness. A person feels, I am unhappy. Now in order to become happy, the desire comes out. I want this, I want that. Such an approach will never give you happiness. The Sattvic way, we say happiness is right now, here and now. Become happy and then you acquire whatever you want. You go about functioning in life. That is the Sattvic way. We'll come to it after we see what is the Rajasic way first. So when a person has a Rajasic ego, that will give rise to Kamaha, and that Kamaha will make you more and more unhappy. The more things you get with this kind of attitude, the more unhappy you will become. That is why they compare the mind with fire. The fire never gets satiated. Anything you throw in the fire, it will consume it. Now it will ask for more. So a Rajasic person may acquire a lot of things in life, but he or she will never be happy. Because the approach itself is wrong. The acquisition of objects is not wrong, but they are acquiring it with an idea that one day they will become happy. Today I am unhappy, Now let me fulfill this desire, let me fulfill that desire so that I'll become happy. The moment you fulfill that desire, now 10 more desires come up related to that. Now each of that you go on fulfilling. The end result is you become more and more unhappy, more and more stressed. So a Rajasic person, no doubts compares himself or herself with others. The jealousy will be there, but to a much lesser extent than an Asuric person. But at least he will not go all out and try to destroy the other person in order to get his share of wealth. Rather, he will put in all the efforts to get wealth. He is not averse to putting in efforts. But whenever some obstacle comes, immediately he will turn to an unrighteous path. The Asuric, it will become an Asuric nature thereafter. So the Asuric ego brings about this tendency to constantly keep acquiring things from the world in order to become happy. So if you always feel unhappy, then that means you have Rajasic ego, Rakshasic ego. A Rakshasa is never happy. See, that's why, in the Ramayana, if you take Ravana, he was a Rakshasa. He was never happy. He had everything. He was said to be the ruler of the three worlds. So great. So majestic. Yet, he was not happy. The moment he heard about Sita, now unless I get Sita, now I will not be happy. So many people advised him. Vibhishana advised him. Ravana's own wife Mandodari advised him. She was a very sattvic person, She told him, Ravana, you have everything with you. What is the necessity for you to feel unhappy right now? The Rajasic ego will never allow a person to rest peacefully. That is why he says Vihaya Kaman. Vihaya Kaman, when you read it along with Nisprihaha, Nirmamaha and Nirahankaraha, it gives you a lot of depth. It means drop off the Rajasic and Tamasic ego. The hidden meaning is that. Because it is the ego which produces kamaha, that is the Rakshasic tendency, and the Asuric tendencies only produce the kamaha and keep on increasing the force of that desire. So he says, Sthita Prajna is one who has abandoned all the desires, all the kamaha. Now when it comes to Daivika ego, you see, a sattvic, such a person is more sattvic, more pure. Now, what does he do? He has learned the technique of converting the kamaha into ichcha. The desire comes under his control. So, the moment your desire comes under your control, now you will always choose something which is good for you. You will never choose something which is harmful for you. It is only when you don't have a choice that your mind will choose all the harmful things. When you have a choice, why would you choose a harmful thing? So, a sattvic person, now using the power of choice, he starts fixing higher and higher goals in life. That is called Ichcha. Ichcha Shakti. No doubt that there is an element of ego there also, because he has not yet become one with the infinite, he has not yet become a Sthita Prajna. But that is very helpful. How is it helpful? I did say this is benevolent ego and that is malevolent ego. Last week I mentioned that, no? So you may ask me, sir, ego is always negative. How can this ego be beneficial? Beneficial in the sense it makes things conducive for you to do your sadhana and get to the state of the infinite, to become a sthita prajna. When you have rakshasic and asuric ego, it is not at all conducive for you to do your sadhana. You will struggle more, you will have to put in more effort, more willpower is required. But if you want to develop, you need to develop willpower. But as you become more and more sattvic, that refined ego, what some yogis call as benevolent ego, that actually pushes you, inspires you to do more and more sadhana, and in the process of doing more and more sadhana, the ego will completely get dissolved and you will become a sthita prajna. So when he says vihaya kaman, from it's like a circle. We started with that. I explained it very briefly, and then we went through a full cycle where we saw sarvan, puman, so many aspects, and then nirahankaraha. Now when you look at vihaya kaman, it gives you tremendous clarity. You can understand it and absorb it with greater depth. So sprihaha is an asuric tendency that makes you want things in life without putting in effort. So the shortest way is to either put to rob it from another person. The kamaha is a rakshasic tendency. It comes from rakshasic ego, wherein you put in a lot of effort to fulfill the desires, but in a very stressful way. Ravana was highly stressed. The sattvic ego, the daivika ahankar, now gives rise to ichcha. It gives you that capacity to willfully fix goals. That's why it's called ichcha. Ichcha means willful desire. So that you complete all your experiences in life and finally reach the state of 100% nirahankara. So he says, vihaya kaman, yaha, whoever has dropped off all the kaman, meaning who has dropped off the rakshasic and asuric ego, we relate it to nirahankara, which means even the nirmamaha would have reduced. That is, the mamaha also would have reduced, the mindness, everything gets reduced. The one who has promoted the ichcha shakti, the daivika ego, now such a person will go on developing spiritually and will attain peace in the end. The saha shantim adhi gacchati. That person will become very, very peaceful. See, having understood the nirahankara in depth, when we go back to vihaya kaman, we can see the real depth and beauty of this verse. Otherwise, if you just read it superficially, vihaya kaman, now give up all your desires, now you will become enlightened. This is an all just a generalized way of studying these sacred verses. That will really not help. But when we use the yogic approach and go deep into it, you find that the entire philosophy of life is there, not only in every verse, it is there in every word actually. Your whole life is contained in just one principle. It's amazing. In every principle. So, as an extension of last week's homework, now this sadhana tip also I'm giving you this week. Again, when I say for this week, it is not restrictive. It doesn't mean now you stop off after this week. This is a lifetime process. Now, last week I told you, see how whether you have the asuric ego or rakshasic or the daivika, what is a percentage generally speaking. Now, relate it to your desire and see what kind of desires do you have, your basic approach in life. Are you feeling very jealous about others? Which area? In which area are you feeling jealous about others? I know some people who don't feel jealous if others have more money than them because they don't have a desire there. But if others are more beautiful, then they feel very jealous. It means there the tamasic tendency is there, the asuric tendency is there. So whenever the asuric tendency is there, you will put down others. You will constantly want to reduce another person's wealth in any form, whether it could be that person's name or fame or money or in some form, and you will get a false satisfaction that now I am better than that person. A rajasic person, the rakshasic ego, when you have rakshasic ego, that will not bring the tendency to destroy others. The rajasic person will compare himself with others, but he will try to put in a lot of effort and acquire more wealth than the other person. A tamasic person tries to become better by reducing another person's wealth. A rajasic person tries to increase his wealth so that he becomes better than the other person. That is where the subtle difference is. But such a person will never be happy, will be highly stressed, always comparing himself or herself with others. Entire life you will lead with so much of stress, with so much of weight on your head. What is that person thinking of me? What is the society thinking of me? You will always be doing things to prove yourself to others. So all these tendencies, I want you to observe this week. Those tendencies are springing from the rakshasic ego, rakshasic ahamkar. So analyze yourself, swadhyaya. This is more subtle study of yourself, In what areas do I have the asuric ahankar with respect to the desires? In what areas do I have the rakshasic ahankar with respect to the desires again, kamaha? And then in what areas do I have a balanced approach with respect to my desires? It means you have ichcha there. Without any reference to others, whether the other person has something or not is not of my concern. What is it that I want in life? What goals do I want to achieve? Now, if you approach your life that way, it means you're becoming more sattvic, more godly, more divine. So, in what areas am I having the daivika nature, which will with respect to the desires, where the very desire is well within my control, and I'm so, in those areas, you will put in all the hard work, your best of efforts you will put in, and then you will happily sleep in the night. That will not come and bother you. You will have a lot of patience till the desire gets fructified. And whether the other person has or not, you will never lose your sleep over it. All these things are positive qualities. So what is your percentage with respect to the Daivika tendencies? That also you need to see. So will you do that homework today? Will you start doing the homework today? You should do it, because if you do it, you will gain so much of clarity about yourself. With this clarity, when you do your sadhana, all your asuric and rakshasic tendencies will start getting destroyed. Day by day, you will become more sattvic. Again, don't get stuck there. Sattva is not the highest state, but it is better than rajas and tamas. But you will go on purifying yourself, but you will not rest. You will not stop till you reach the ultimate goal of God realization, till you become a sthita prajna. This is the path. So when he says vihaya kaman charati nisprihaha nirmamaha nirahankaraha, they are all not merely states. They are also actually defining the very path which you need to take in life. So wherever you find the desires coming from the asuric tendencies, now you need to convert it into rajas first. Wherever you find the desires are like in the kama stage, now you need to convert it into ichcha. That is the very sadhana process. And with using the ichcha shakti, you keep completing your experiences and you become one with the infinite. Now you may ask me, once you become a sthita prajna, will that person ever generate any desire, ichcha? Maybe, may not be. It all depends on the situation. But that is a totally different state altogether. We can't compare it with these relative states. Okay, so we'll stop with that today. You think about this. Very, very subtle principles have been given to you from this verse. Now, when you absorb these principles, they are going to give you tremendous clarity, tremendous understanding about your own self. Okay, so before we do the meditation, I will take up one question. I'm not mentioning the name of this person because it's a personal question which she has asked. So, dear Yogishri, humble koti pranams and gratitude to Yogishri. Hari Om. So, whenever I listen to your discourses, I feel very inspired and I feel like you are personally right in front of me and talking to me. Feel so grateful to hear this ancient wisdom. Thank you for the unconditional love you shower. You say that how much ever is my effort, to that extent I will evolve and succeed in my goals. I truly understand. How much ever I was sincere, that much I have transformed, I should say. Then I keep telling myself that I should be consistent and regular in the sadhanas, inclusive of yoga sankirtan. Only that will unwind my blocks. But I fail to do it though. Since I am a single mother managing 2 kids, husband lives abroad for more than 14 years now. Every comfort is a gift of the divine and I am so grateful to the Almighty. Of late I feel like for kids and me, my husband's presence is most needed than the comforts we have today. So actually speaking, my kids get upset often and I get so disturbed for unknown reasons and finding it difficult to be organized and consequently failing to be consistent in my practices, however much I try. I am wondering whether it's ignorance or if laziness is dominating me or what's stopping me. Something is eating me up. So then she's going on, despite, we are not yet settled financially also. And then because of the kids' responsibility, I am unable to be focused in my career. I have no other family support. So all these related problems you've asked. Though I have been practicing yoga and meditation for the past 3 years, I have not been able to do it wholeheartedly and be focused on what I really want to do. So I have a lot of dreams with respect to my career, and I really want to do something to the world to the best of my abilities, for which I believe that I should get equipped first. So Yogishri, I really don't know how I should go about it. Where am I missing out? How do I overcome all this? So I seek for your directions in this regard. Thank you, Yogishri. Pranams. Now, it's a very interesting question which she has asked. This will be useful to all the sadhaks also. Now, we'll come to all the problems later, but prima facie, I want to give one point here. See, the solution to all these problems, that is a little more deep. You'll have to do more sadhana. See, like even today, I'd explained about the 3 aspects. You'll have to do the swadhyaya, then you need to do the yoga sankirtan sadhana. You need to remove all the blocks, the karmic blocks. Then the situations will become better. That we'll come to later. If not today, as we go along, also many tips I'll give you. But prima facie, the point here is that, you made the statement that I want to do yoga sankirtan, I want to be consistent in my sadhana, but I failed to do it since I am a single mother managing 2 kids. Now I am only referring to that portion today. It's a very important point which I want all the sadhaks to also focus and absorb this point. The tendency of the mind is always to find some reason or other to not to put in the efforts in the positive direction. I told you, when we started off with that, when you're too serious about this, the mind, the ego, your entire personality will resist it. Now, how will it resist? The ego is very intelligent that way. It will not merely resist directly. It will create many justifications in the mind, many reasons in the mind as to why you should not do the sadhana. See, like 6 days we had Yoga Sankirtan intensive program, empowerment. Now, the mind will try to find some reason or other why I am unable to do it at the same time, why I am not able to register for it, why I am not, even your personal sadhana, you are mentioning about your personal sadhana, why I am not able to do it is because, let it be any reason. You are saying single mother. There are so many people, I know there are single mothers with not 2 children, with 3 or 4 children, and still they have been very consistent in their sadhanas. Those are all actually not reasons, but your mind feels that that is the reason why you are unable to do sadhana. I want you to understand the psychology of your own personality, of how your mind is functioning. So if you genuinely want a solution, the first step is sadhana only. Every Sunday you need to attend these sessions, and then this will give you the inspiration. You should start doing the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana on a consistent basis. Now, why aren't you able to do that? Because the mind is giving various reasons, justifications. So whatever be the justifications, if see today your mind is very convinced, you are also very convinced about the logic which the mind is giving you. Instead, if you cut that and say, whatever be the reason, I am not going to listen to you because that is an illusion. There is no reason why I should not do sadhana. There was a girl a few years back, she got married. On that time we used to have these sessions in the auditorium live. Now on the day of marriage, she and her entire family attended the morning session. After the session, they just came to the backstage to take my wishes before the marriage. I asked them, "Marie, today is your marriage, you have come here?" They said, no. As soon as we finish this, we are going. I was very surprised. I was very impressed with the whole thing. That is what is being a real sadhak, where you don't give up the sadhana for any reason. See, sometimes a good news, a birth may occur, marriage may come. Sometimes a so-called negative thing like you may lose something, or you may face some problem, a death may occur. Irrespective of all these things, a sadhak is one who keeps doing the sadhana. No reasons. So when it comes to sadhana, don't encourage this tendency of the mind which tries to give you very many reasons. It tries to convince you. You are convinced here. As long as you are convinced that yes, I am a single mother, I have 2 kids, so I will not be able to do sadhana. How is it possible for Yogishri to help? Because you are already convinced. So my request is, think on this point first. If not 2 kids, once you get into your work, the work pressure will now prevent you from doing your sadhana. If you want to give reasons, some reason or other you can go on giving. So first understand what is sadhana and the benefits of sadhana. I told you, you have to tempt your mind. Sadhana is what is going to get you out of these karmic blocks. You're saying even the empowerment programs, I'm a little cautious, afraid and all that. It is the empowerment programs which will expand and bring out the infinite powers from within. Once you start delving on the benefits of sadhana, the mind will get tempted. Only then you will get the strength to resist these justifications thrown by your own mind. So think about this point. Even other sadhaks in different areas, your mind will be giving various justifications. Overcome them by tempting your mind to do whatever is the right thing to do, whatever is going to help you grow. How can you tempt your mind? By bringing the benefits. If I do this, what all will I get? Now, when you start quantifying that is going to excite the mind. So then you will start doing the sadhana. Okay, so first you practice that. As we go along, I will give you more and more tips which will help you to remove all your blocks. See, everything is possible, but first principle is you need to do your sadhana. A guru can help a person who is doing the sadhana. Yes, if you have some block like this which prevents you from doing your sadhana, of course you need to clarify so that the tips are given. That is why I am giving you this tip. So use this wisdom, this part which has been given just now, to see the justifications of your own mind. And just do 2 things. One is the Sunday discourse every Sunday, and the other is your daily sadhana. The Sunday discourse, if you start watching the Sunday discourse with that interest every week, you will automatically start doing your sadhana on a daily basis. Initially, if you say 6 days, sir, I'm finding it too difficult, at least do for 3 days. Something is better than nothing. Then that 3 will automatically become 6. It is a question of time only. So all this requires your effort. So put that much of effort. The rest, the Guru Shakti, the higher Shakti will take care. All your blocks will be removed. Okay, so think about this and get back if you have any clarifications regarding this. More we will see in the coming weeks. So now we'll do the meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, feel the divine vibrations filling each and every cell of your body. With every breath, I'm going deeper and deeper into myself. I am not this body. I am not this mind. I am not this intellect. I am that supreme, infinite self. From this moment onwards, I choose to do my sadhana with intensity and consistency. This spiritual journey of inner purification is like a game. I choose to enjoy this process thoroughly. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes, rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So today, a lot of insights have been given to you. Lot of insights about yourself actually. See, when we say nirahankaraha, nirmamaha, all these are things which you need to follow, which you need to experience within yourself. So when the exposition of Asurik, Rakshasic and Daivika, Ahankar were given, we are not talking of something which is happening outside, but our focus is on what is happening within us. The Puranas, the stories were all given to make things interesting for the mind so that it begins to look within. That is the whole focus. So remember, don't use this to criticize others, to judge others. So much of energy is being given to you. Don't fritter your energies by judging others. Instead, use this energy, use this wisdom to understand yourself better, to purify yourself. Okay? This is so important. In the coming weeks, we will see some more subtle points. I'm taking it step by step so that you absorb maximum. We have the luxury of going probing into this week after week. The moment we put a deadline, then it becomes very difficult to apply the yogic approach. So when we have that choice, when we have that luxury, let us use this to completely transform ourselves. When I say let us use this, I mean using the yogic approach to go into the depth of the verse, which will in turn increase the depth of your understanding, self-understanding. Even the word understanding is wrong, because you may take it as intellectual, merely in an intellectual way. It is a self-wisdom, wisdom of your own self. Okay, so thank you very much. We'll continue in the next session. Hari Om.